me say a special good morning to those of you listening to Classic Radio 105.5, 105.9 on the FM dial. Good morning to you. Those of you viewing GBN TV, whether it's Channel 7, Channel 11, Channel 20, good morning, welcome. What about those of you via our social media platforms, Facebook page, YouTube channels, good morning, welcome. I'm your host, GT, and with me this morning, I have, of course, first representing the I.R.D. Hope I get it right this morning.
That's right.
All right, got it right this morning. Of course, we have Mr. Cadet with us this morning, and of course, representing for the first time, we have Miss John. I think I'll just work with Miss John tonight. Good morning to both of you and welcome.
Good morning,
Thank you for
GT.
having
Thank
us.
you for having us.
All right. Well, nice to have you back. It's one of those unusual Fridays again, eh? Yeah, one of those unusual Fridays. So our basic conversation this morning is always to talk about the obligations for, of course, folks in terms of paying their taxes. Right. Of course, a conversation of registration for various businesses, for the importance of it, to register your business always with the I.R.D. It's important to register your business, and we're going to be dealing with a lot of specific businesses this morning that we want to talk about. And as we go through the conversation this morning, we certainly will make reference to it. Now, I always want to start the conversation by saying this. We may have talked about it in our previous conversation, but you know, there are different categories of businesses. The importance of the different categories of businesses having their business registered, the importance of that. I think I'm going to let you start with that, Mr. Cadet.
Yes, no, thank you. And before I jump in, let me take the opportunity on behalf of the management and staff of I.R.D. to wish all those incredible moms we have outside there happy Mother's Day.
We might get in trouble if we don't.
Indeed, you are doing a good job, and I want to encourage you to keep it up. Very good question. Our economy, Grenada's economy, is one of the most diversified economy in the sub-region, in the OECS. There are multiple sectors that contribute towards our gross domestic product. And over the years, we have seen an improvement, an increase in the size of our national pie, in the size of our GDP. Yeah. So at I.R.D., we now have to benchmark what is happening in the economy, the sectors that are contributing to the growth, and we have to ensure that those sectors are part of the tax nets. We believe that we have a very large informal sector. So one of our requirements is to ensure that, as we said before, to reduce the size of the informal sector and bring companies, businesses into the formal sector. So registering for tax purposes is just one of the ways that we will use to improve on the size of our formal sector so that we can sufficiently account for and measure with a little accuracy our GDP. So tax registration, and not just business registration, because as we will see later on, there are a lot of businesses who are registered, and the business name is registered for KIPO for different purposes. Yeah. But when it comes to registering your business for tax purposes, we have a level of non-compliance there. And our intention is to kind of close that gap so that most of the businesses who are operating within the state can register for tax purposes.
Make a distinguish between the both for me, because someone may register their business for I have a repair shop, so I registered. Right. You know, so for registration of the business purposes.
Correct.
But then I'm not registered to pay tax. That's where the difference comes in.
Very good question. And we hear that a lot. So in some of our compliance checks, we hear that I am already registered. So when we ask you, what's your tax number? What's a tax identification number? Then we get some hesitation. And we ask, why the hesitation? Well, I went to KIPO. But KIPO is basically there to register your business name, right? Persons register their business for different purposes. Maybe they want to go and get a visa. Maybe they want to unlock some funds from the financial institution, different purposes. But you have to take it one step further. You register your business name first, and then you have to come down to the Inland Revenue. And we're not yet. We are trying to see if we can get a one-stop shop where you can do everything at one location. Yeah. But we are not there yet. Our intention is to get there. But in the meantime, we are asking you to come down, and all businesses register for tax purposes where you can get a tax identification number. And that number will be used or could be used for different purposes as well. In fact, already we are seeing the government is asking some of the suppliers, persons who are willing to do business with the government, that I'm only engaging you if you have a tax number. Yeah. We already saw, or we were seeing that some of the financial institutions, they are telling their clients that if you want a loan of X amount, you must get a tax identification number. So these are some of the things that are already happening within the sector.
It may be be a question that you may have answered over and over again, but it's not bad to continue, repeating that particular question. Why is it important to have your business registered, especially for tax purposes?
Right. And not just businesses, but individuals as well. I think it's part of our civic responsibility. I think one of the greatest demonstration of patriotism, beyond just standing at attention, singing our national anthem, is paying and holding yourself accountable by paying your taxes. You want to drive on better roads. You want better services from the government. We want to improve our healthcare sector. We want to ensure that our children are well educated. We want to live in a society where we are happy. Those things come at a cost. And we should, as Grenadians, try our best to see how we can mobilize resources domestically as opposed to depending on grants, depending on debts and loans from countries and institutions outside of Grenada. In other words, home drum must beat first.
So true.
Home drum must beat first. So if we really care about this country, we have to see how we can contribute towards helping us live a better life. And through the tax dollars, that's how we can achieve that.
No, I'm assuming the I.R.D. has lots of plans, of course, and you have started off 2025, of course, with lots of engagements as this one. What are some of the other plans the I.R.D. have in terms of getting business to get registered and to become compliant?
Right. So compliance is a big deal, very, very big deal for us. We have our compliance strategy, so we're looking at businesses, individuals, medium, small, large, looking at how we can improve their registration, how we can improve their filing, how we can improve payment, and how we can improve their reporting. We understand, as I said before, that we have a lot of sectors. So what we have done this year is to use our risk register, our risk matrix, where we identify some sectors that we are focusing on a monthly basis. In the first quarter of the year, it's our busiest time of the year, where we focus a lot on ensuring that our taxpayers file the PIT, file the AST. So now we are shifting our focus a little bit to get businesses registered, because we are trying to build our base for the future. So one of the initiatives, as we will speak about in a while, is to give a remind, because this is something that's already in law and persons supposed to know that. Yeah. But our default position is that some taxpayers don't know. So we're giving a reminder by saying that we're giving you 30 days to come and register your business. We don't charge you for registering your business.
Okay.
We charge you, or we penalize you for not registering. So after the 30 days, then we will be more aggressive on the ground, trying to pick up businesses and put them into the tax net.
Oh, great. So let's shift gears a wee bit in terms of our main purpose of being here this morning. There's various sectors that we want to, of course, show some information onto this morning, informing them, not in an informal way, but in a way of directly informing them of their obligations towards getting registered and becoming compliant. I'm sure Ms. John's going to handle that aspect of it for us this morning. We want to talk to promoters. We know the carnival season is coming up, all of these events that are coming up. How is it important for promoters per se to register for tax purposes now? You probably registered your business, whatever, GT's promotion, and I'm registered because I want my flyer to be over promoting whatever event I'm going to have. Mm-hmm. But the promotion after the promotion aspect, that's where the tax comes in now.
Right.
The tax part of it. Talk to me about that.
Well, for promoters, once you're having an activity, a promotional entertainment activity, and you're charging a fee requiring patrons to advertising for patrons to attend, then you're classed as a promoter. Yeah. The first part of that would be that's your business, so then you register with KIPO, and you have your business name registered. To us, you come in. For promoters, I must say that you don't have to meet a threshold as VAT. There's no threshold because your promotional activity can surpass the VAT threshold, so there's no threshold for promotional activity.
Okay, when you said there's no threshold, for instance, VAT, there's a certain percentage.
Right. Not percentage, but a threshold of 300,000 for the year.
For the year, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand.
Right. So you come in, you register, and once you're in the system, once you have an event, usually we would monitor that event. And when we monitor that event, you come in and reconcile. Yeah.
All right.
Just to add, I mean, that particular requirement is not new. I mean, it's part of the VAT Act, which was established since 2009. And there are some uniqueness in the VAT Act. And the particular section that speaks to that, I think it's 10 or 12.
10.
Section 10, right, that speaks to that. That doesn't matter the size of your turnover, but there's absolutely no threshold, as Lauren said, relative to the promoters and that particular public entertainment industry.
So promoters who doesn't think that they're obligated to do this for whatever reason, assuming there are folks who just want to be compliant.
Right.
What tell us a wee bit what could happen to them in just a simple conversation.
In the Act, they give us the ability to charge you a $2,500 fine for failure to register. Also for failure for non-compliance. So if we come to the event and you choose not to accommodate us, you choose not to provide information.
All right, so there's a $2,500 off that once you decide you're not going to prove that. Let's go through the process a little bit more.
And that fine, just to add, it's not collected by the Inland Revenue.
Okay.
It's collected by the court, magistrate court.
Okay, so it goes to the
So
court.
it's like a ticketing system.
Okay. I want you to explain for me the process that promoters have to go through, especially to be in terms of the tax compliance part of it and the obligation they have to make. And maybe I'll expand on it a little bit more for me. What they go through from starting that particular promotion, where they lead to after. So, just in case there's a promoter out there who's listening, probably doesn't understand what he or she has to do. You understand? Even though they may have heard of it before, but probably never went as far as making an obligation to pay the taxes. You know.
So by law, you should come into Inland Revenue 1 month before you have your promotional activity. That would include advertisement, selling of tickets, all of that. You should come to Inland Revenue before you decide to go ahead and start the promotional activity, because the promotional activity starts when you put out your flyers, your tickets, and all of that. So you come into the Inland Revenue. If you're not registered, we will let you know you need to have your business name registered, and we would register you in our system after that.
And that goes across the board for all individuals who decide to do a promotion.
Yes.
Not only a cruise or anything of that sort.
No.
Want to do any type of promotion.
Exactly.
And some form of revenue is going to be collected. You have to come into it. And you said 1 month before the actual event takes place?
Yes.
Or before you start the promotion?
1 month before you start the promotion.
Before the promotion starts?
Yes.
All right. Anything you want to expand on that?
Yeah, I mean, the industry, the promoters or the public entertainment industry, it's evolving. There are some promoters who know exactly how the VAT is supposed to operate because they were there from inception.
Yeah.
But over the last couple of years, you are seeing a lot of new individuals, businesses coming up promoting public entertainment events. And we want to say to them here, whenever you're in doubt, consult. So come into Inland Revenue, send us an email, just a phone call. Let us explain to you more, because I don't think we have enough time in this program to go through all of the requirements, right? So I really want to encourage persons who are in the industry, persons who are thinking about entering the industry. I mean, Spice Masters launch. There are persons who may want to see if they can make an extra dollar because they might be popular. Yeah. They might have a good following. So we want to say to you now, come in, let's explain to you why you need to do the procedures that we have in place and how we can facilitate Inland Revenue as your tax department. And I'm saying your because Grenadians, we work for you. As your tax department, we are here to provide support. So there are, as we will see in a while, there are different levels of compliance. We believe that in some cases we have to provide the information to people. We believe we have to pull them in at some times. But all in all, our main trust is to ensure voluntary compliance. Yes. So promoters, please come have a conversation with us. Let us explain. We are getting pushback in some cases where our officers, because of the risk involved in that particular industry, we have, as part of our administrative procedure, to have our officers present at the entrance of some of the events, right? And that is basically to help reduce the risk by just identifying, because it's self-assessed. The promoter will say that I have 500 persons in my venue. But when we look at pictures and videos circulated, sometimes you have more than that. Yeah. So to kind of mitigate the risk, we tend to go at the site, at the place that the event is held, just to validate and verify the amount of persons that enter in at different points.
Okay, great. We drew for a break. Of course, the conversation continues when we come back. Stay with us, folks. To the Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. We'll be right back after the break. Don't touch your dial.
Grenada, the time has come. It's the big showdown in the first ever Classic Lighted and the Communal Credit Union Invitational 2025. Come witness the Royal Grenada Police Force and His Majesty's prison officers take on the nation's busmen and women in an epic 4x1 relay. Then it's Flow versus DG Cell. And don't miss out, Nawasa, who will be flooding Grenlec in the ultimate relay. All this and more, May 17th and 18th. At the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. Adults $30, children $15. Season passes are available. It's a showdown like no other. Be there.
Heritage Theatre presents Breaking Out, the Grenada Love Story, featuring Robert White and Lisa Grappi, written and directed by Chris Riggs.
But I still love you, Richie.
You love me and you're hard in me. 4 big performances, Saturday 24th and Sunday 25th May at the Grenada Trade Center, Saturday 31st May and Sunday 1st June at Deluxe Cinema in Grenville. Showtime 7 p.m. sharp.
He's the love of my life, Auntie. You have to marry a man for other things besides love, child.
Get your tickets at Mitchell's Pharmacy in Grand Anse, Gittins Health and Wellness Wall Street, Gabriel's Pharmacy Pedmata, St. David Pharmacy, St. Andrew Pharmacy, Art and Soul Boutique at Spiceland Mall, 3B's Shoe Store, and GoToFed.com. Breaking Out. Come out and enjoy Grenadian theater at its best.
This ad complements Grenada Cooperative Bank Limited.
Get ready, Grenada. The Maggie King of the Grill is back and bigger than ever. On Saturday, June 7th, Monroe's Plain Field transforms into the ultimate battleground for grill masters. Think you got what it takes? Then fire up those grills and show your skills. Registration closes Friday, April the 11th, so don't miss your chance to compete for that sizzling prize and bragging rights. It's food, fun, and flavor, all powered by Maggie. To register, call 407-8458. Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules. See you there.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back, viewers, to The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. Welcome back to my guests from the I.R.D. this morning. And our conversation is based on tax compliance, registration, your obligation, of course, towards paying your taxes, and so much more that we certainly will be offering this morning here. Certainly those of you who probably been having issues on that nature will get an understanding of the reasons why you should, of course, make that obligation and pay your taxes, especially those of you in the various businesses that we're going to be speaking about this morning. I want us to continue on the aspect of the conversation of promoters this morning. When a promoter or promoters does not comply with those obligations that we spoke about a while ago in terms of making sure that they're coming to the I.R.D. and make the necessary arrangement, get all the information that they should find out before they get into that particular promotion or event that they want to host. When they are not compliant on that level, talk to me, Abida. What could happen to them? Right. In a simple way of saying it. Okay.
So apart from the fines, we can carry out what we call a best of judgment assessment on the taxpayer, whereby we look at the event, the capacity, and we would do an analysis and provide them with an assessment.
All right.
Right?
some folks may say that may not be in the best interest of the promoter. The promoter may say, well, they just assessed my thing, and I mean, that happens. Why is it important for the I.R.D. to be at particular events that are hosted by a particular promoter after maybe they have gone through the whole compliance system? Let's just say a promoter has gone through the whole compliance part of it. Mm-hmm. He has come into the I.R.D., make the necessary arrangement and for his tax obligations and so forth. He make all the arrangement for that. But then you still show up at the events. Why is it important for the I.R.D. to be there?
Well, it is a form of strengthening the compliance throughout the event, and also to reduce the risk of tax evasion, because sometimes that persons may not always be 100%
being honest sometimes.
Exactly. So we help curb that instance where that might be possible. We're not saying that is the case, but there may be instances of that happening.
Concerns that from the I.R.D. perspective, what concerns that you're having from promoters who will continue to have these events and not coming and making those arrangements? What are some of those concerns that you have, and what you see as something, that particular trend that you're trying to, of course, crack down on, if you could say it in that way?
Well, the trend can be, as Mr. Cadet was saying in the beginning, taxpayers aid in the bringing in revenue to the government to be able to provide more services. And if that trend continues, we'll have a loophole whereby persons are having events and the government is not getting their fair share of the pie or of the revenues that they earn that could go into, improving certain infrastructure within the country. So it is important. It's an obligation of the taxpayer to come in and be compliant in that area.
Okay. And just to add to your question, one of the challenges that the promoters tend to see, they are registered, but the persons that they are paying, the suppliers or the vendors or the service providers who are printing tickets for them, who they might be buying drinks from to help make the event, those persons are not registered. So the way the VAT works, there's a claim back mechanism in place. Okay. So you charge VAT on your tickets, you can claim back based on the VAT that you pay on the services to help your event succeed. So we are getting that complaint. So on Monday, GBN had, I think, players within the industry on Beyond the Headlines. Very good program. We paid attention to it and the views that were expressed. And what we already called a couple persons who were on the program because we want to partner with them. So we said the persons who are involved in supporting you, supplying, whether it's food, drinks, advertisement, whatever, please share that list with us. Okay. Because we believe that it's the same persons that are doing the same supplies for almost everybody in the industry. And they have in their mind, I am not meeting the threshold, so I should not pay. So when we get that list from the promoters, we know we'll review, because the law also gives us powers to register taxpayers. We're asking them to come in voluntarily.
But I was going to ask if the promoter also is obligated to do that.
We can request information from them. In fact, the law gives us powers to request information. The comptroller has the powers. Yeah. And failure to provide the information that the comptroller requests will require a ticket, a charge, a penalty. So we are asking promoters, if you know you are challenged where you are charging VAT on your ticket, that the customer has to pay. I just want to make that point. Yes. The promoter is not the one that is paying the VAT. The VAT is charged on the patrons and on the customers. So every ticket sale is supposed to attract a 15% VAT, which is supposed to be inclusive on the price of the ticket. Okay. Right? So you remit. So they basically working on behalf of the government. They collect and they remit. But if you realize that you cannot claim back, we ask you, help us, so that we can help you. Provide a listing so that we can see the persons that are supplying for you, and we can do our own investigation and see how we can get them into. Because we don't want, and I want to repeat that point, we are not in the business of putting people out of business. We are here to complete and to fulfill the mandates that are given us by the law, and to also facilitate business growth and expansion.
All right.
And I think,
I mean, I'm understanding that point where you're coming from, but do promoters have that understanding that the cost of their ticket that should be inclusive of the VAT also? Is that what you're actually saying to a promoter?
Yeah.
So if a ticket, mostly say a cruise costs $50, the cost of that $50 should be inclusive of the VAT.
Yes.
That they will have to in turn return to their...
Correct. Yeah. In that $50, or 15% should be inside there.
50 inside there.
Right? So a couple of years ago, we told them that some promoters want to increase their ticket price by 15%. Saying, no, don't do that. Whatever the price is quoted to the patron, whether you advertise online, whether you have Ticketmaster selling on your behalf, that price, that final price that I am paying to go to your cruise or going to an event, well dressed in my white or my pink or whatever the case is, that price must be inclusive of the VAT.
All right. Because a promoter may not see that as cutting into his profits.
Well, they say that. They say that. When we met with the sector, we told them, well, that's on the revenue side.
Yeah.
But you now have to look at your cost structure. Because I don't think, and this may go into our next conversation, a lot of business people are operating, they are making, they are buying, they are involved in trade, but they are not looking at how they can minimize their costs. So they're checking on how much can I charge or how much should I charge to make a profit, focusing a lot on the markup. But I want to suggest, look at some of your cost areas to see how we can cut. Because in some cases we are duplicating efforts on the business side. There are some cases where they are not very efficient, and unfortunately we as customers, I'm not talking as a customer, we have to pay for the level of inefficiency in some of the businesses.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the vision of course urge now for registration. I'm seeing there's a 30-day of where you're saying for various businesses that have not been compliant, and yet talk to me a wee bit about that, because I'm seeing it ranges from different business, beauty and wellness profession and so forth. Tell me how these particular business fits into there and in their obligation to the I.R.D.
Right, no, good one. This is a big one for us. We have seen for the last couple of years a lot of businesses coming into the Inland Revenue and register voluntarily. And we see it as voluntarism, but we understand that in many cases they are being triggered by some association or some arm or some institution that if you want X, Y, or Z, you must come to Inland Revenue. All right. We welcome that. We believe in partnering with all our stakeholders to ensure that we have, as I said before, many of our businesses registered. So we looked at our system and we realized there are some businesses that are, in our view, are doing well. In the views of our taxpayers who are also customers, those businesses are doing well. And we are criticized in some cases of not being fair. They say, well, how come I am paying, but my competitor down the street, or this person who's advertising bigly, to use Mr. Chumbon, online, they are not. I say, how do you know that they are not registered? So we take those information and we put them in our database, and we realize now we have to streamline our registration process a little bit. We have to be more focused. In fact, when we met as an executive in December or January to plan for the year, the comptroller said, let us focus on some sectors because we don't have all the resources internally. And there are many businesses taking place, of commerce taking place. So let us be strategic. So as part of our strategic plan and our compliance strategy is for us to identify some sectors that we will focus on a monthly basis. So we are now in the month of May, and we have decided to send out a press release, a notice, to invite persons who are involved in the wellness and beauty industry. Yeah. So we are talking about the hairdressers, the barbers, persons involved in giving pedicures, the nail techs, the tattoo artists, the spa operators, or others, those involved in
makeup artists, masseuse and all of these individuals are no.
Correct. I mean,
so what do you want these individuals to do? Coming and make and register the business, even though they have registered already. Because you said some of them may have registered because they were instructed by other institutions to get registered.
Right.
Maybe they want to get an income coming or get a loan or whatever. We understand that part of it, but now for the tax obligation part of it,
we want them to make the extra step, make the extra online, because you can register online, make the extra visit make the extra phone call, send the extra email to Inland Revenue so that you can complete your business registration process.
And you're giving them 30 days to have that done.
Correct.
And this, of course, started the 1st of May.
Correct. Well, we send the press release, I think it was Monday. So we'll come 30 days from Monday. I mean, we'll send some reminders because we met with our supervisors yesterday on this initiative, and they said we need to continue speak and promote this through our PR. But I want to make a point here. This is just a reminder, right, for the persons involved in that industry to come in. Persons who are involved in other industries, you can still come in.
Yes. I mean, just selected down businesses that you're choosing. Yeah.
At the end of the 30 days, right? Let's see, we are now on the 10th of June. We will be more aggressive.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I'm changing my tone now. So within I.R.D, we have the softer side of tax compliance, and we have the harder side of tax compliance. We encourage, and almost every press release that comes from I.R.D will see to encourage voluntary tax compliance. If taxpayers fail to come in voluntarily, we have to fine you. If we have to fine you out, there will be some penalties, there will be some repercussion, there will be some enforcement activities. So we want to tell Grenadians, I know some persons are listening, some persons are already making phone calls, some persons are watching. Please, if you are involved, or you know persons who are involved in business, in commerce, in trade, please let them know that it's important, or find it from them, or you registered for tax purposes, and encourage them to do so. It is easier, GT, to do the right thing.
So true.
When you fail to do the right thing, I mean, Mommy and Daddy taught us well, their punishment for delinquent behaviors.
I mean, I certainly do understand where you're coming from. It makes it easier. I mean, sometimes within the threshold of your business, it may not cost you that much to pay your taxes.
Right. Annual stamp tax. I mean, that's the example we can use.
It may not cost you that much, but at least you're contributing towards the country.
That's right. Annual stamp tax has a threshold, well, $36,000. You have to register. The minimum tax is $100. There are persons who are involved in simple buying and selling supermarkets, shops, and they are paying $100 every single year, and we welcome that.
Yeah.
You have persons who are making thousands of dollars, and they are boasting about it because they are promoting the activities in a very big way. I mean, we search Facebook. I mean, I want to share some of the things that we see on Facebook. There are businesses that are advertising promotional activities and sales for Mother's Day. Good for you. You know, give Grenadians a little incentive, especially when we welcome you. Great. But don't forget the tax office. Don't forget your patriotic responsibility by paying your taxes.
All right. Anything you want to add on that, Michelle? Anything you want to emphasize more on that?
What I'll say,
said a whole lot of referencing.
Yes, the whole scheme, in the whole scheme of things, you know, it is important to give back to Grenada. Our economy is small, our size of our population is small, and if everyone contributes in their own special way, I think it would make the future for Grenada much brighter.
Okay, great. We due for a break once again. Let's take it when we come back. We continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. To the Point, Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back after the break. Don't touch it out.
GBN presents the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, Saturday, June 7th, Montrouge Plainfield from 11 a.m. Our partners, Maggie, the secret of great flavor, Grenada Distillers Limited, makers of Clark's Court, Grenada's #1 rum, Grenada Paper Products, makers of Cherish, Spring Soft, Harbour Bay and Super Value Toilet Paper, and Royal, Quick and Easy and Horizon Paper Towels, Budget Foods Inc., Classic Lighting, and Blue Bubbles PA Rental and Event Supplies. It's the 2025 Maggie King of the Grill, where flavor rules.
Hey GBN family, we've got a brand new home on Facebook and you need to be there. Follow us now on Facebook at Grenada Broadcasting Network -GBN. Stay updated with the latest news, sports, entertainment, and everything Grenada. Don't miss out. Like, follow, and share. Grenada Broadcasting Network. Stay informed, stay ahead. First with the news, fast with the updates.
Like a freestyle, the life blood flowing mile by mile. It's legacy, a beat that don't stop like Bob Marley said. One love on top, DCUH water out of sight, but it's always wrong, don't lose the light. From factories and wells so deep, cutouts, mangroves and fish they weep. Green water for the garden, keep it green. Save the cash and the earth gets clean. We use the water with a mindful mind. It's out of sight but never far behind. In nature, the answers always flow.
Welcome back, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back to my guests from the I.R.D. this morning. We certainly have covered a whole lot of ground in this area, and I certainly hope that those listeners and viewers who are in these particular business that were mentioned, and we urge them to make that extra step.
Yeah.
About the obligations towards the taxes of the country. Now, there are various options for you to get that process started. And maybe for those of them who are listening out there who may not have made that step yet, how can they get this thing going? In a simple way of saying, I like to keep it in a simple way. How can they get it going? In terms of, I hear you say maybe I don't want to come into the I.R.D. for some reason or the other. How they could get this going for them?
Right. So one of the things that we focus on in compliance is service delivery.
Yeah.
Yes, persons complain a lot about the kind of service they get, not just from inland revenue, but from the public service, right? We, over the last couple of years, intentionally look for ways to make life easier for our taxpayers. So persons can pay online, persons can file online, and persons now will be able to, we launch our new system next month, GTax, where they will be able to register, file and pay online. In fact, the Ministry of Finance recently, and the press release went out, will be operating down at the Grand Dance in the Galleria Mall.
Galleria Mall, yes.
Oh my God, you see that mall? Especially on the bottom floor, we have enhanced cashing facilities where there's an area set aside for kiosks. Already we have 3 functioning tablets. So instead of you going and pay, file, you have a computer tablet waiting there for you to do all the business. So you can do that at the Galleria Mall. We also have one, our intention is to get more for our head office in on Young Street. So we are providing that technological support for our taxpayers who might be challenged to come into us physically, or who may not want to interact because they may have some things that they prefer to do on their own. So we have that facility there. We also want to encourage persons to make use of your own personal devices. There's not a need anymore for persons to come in and interact with us
at the comfort of your home.
Yeah, so service delivery is a very big deal for us. And one of the things we will do as well, from next month, we will launch what we call Compliance Thursdays, where a group of officers will leave the office and go to the business community, go to the field, and engage our taxpayers. We will go there to ask questions. Of course, we'll go to get information as well. But that's what we do. But we want to be more visible. within our taxpayer population. We want Grenadians to not see us as the tax man or the tax woman who just want to take my money, but we want them to see us as partners. Let's be this as a partnership. So we will work with our taxpayers as best as we possibly can. I know there are some taxpayers who will duck us, right? They are using those expressions because of fear. Perhaps they owed the state for years, have not paid. The IRS is building. And it's a difficult conversation that taxpayers sometimes don't want to have. But we want to say to you that we have our collection section who is ready and waiting to help you set up a favorable payment arrangement that will suit your pocket. So don't stay away and shy and free to interact with us. Come in. We are here to help. I know Lonnie and his team, they are waiting with the payment plan arrangements. I mean, there are some taxpayers we have been contacting for years. They have been invading us. They have been promising us to come in. These are the taxpayers that will change our tone on. But if you know that you're hearing our voice at this point in time and you have some challenges, communicate to us. You can send email, you can make phone calls, you can come in, you can talk to anybody. I know many of our tax officers have taxpayers who have our personal numbers. There are sometimes after 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, taxpayers will communicate with us because they have some tax issue. So we're really here to help Grenadians. I think I.R.D. is not just transformation, but we are evolving into a more customer-centric organization, and I just hope that persons who have been interacting with us, especially for the last couple of months and years, you are actually seeing and feeling a different tone from the Inland Revenue, because we are not just here to collect the revenue, but we really want to improve on compliance. And when I say compliance, I'm talking about service delivery, I'm talking about education. So already for the year, we have had about 15 different stakeholder engagement, and we plan to have a couple more before the end of June. And these are things that we track because we have to be more out there and communicate with our taxpayers.
All right. I have another question for you, but before that, may I just mention to our listeners and viewers, if you do have a question or two, because you want to, of course, ask our guests as relation to tax compliance or a question relating to our conversation this morning, and you just want some answers or clarifications to say, feel free to do so, 435-2041. Let's talk consequences and penalties. Let's talk consequences and penalties. When you refuse to comply and so forth, what can the IRE really do for individuals who do? I mean, it starts with a conversation, you say so. Conversation usually get exhausted.
Right, so there are some penalties that are inbuilt within an interest within the tax system. So failure to file, there's a $500 for you there, or $100 a month until you decide to file, or 5% or 1%, whichever one is greater.
Or 20%.
20% for not paying on time, or late payments. But although there are penalties for not doing that, you also have an option. You can ask for extension. So you may have a challenge, trying to meet the deadline. You can always request an extension of time to file and pay. Right, through the comptroller. And then there are some penalties outside of the tax system, but we call them fixed penalty notice, and maybe I can run through them quickly. These are penalties that are paid through the magistrate court. So failure to register, that carries a penalty of $2,500. Failure to provide information to the officers of Inland Revenue, that carries a penalty as well. Failure to issue receipts. I mean, you see this one, this is a major one. And let me calm down here. Customers are expected to receive a receipt. I think we mentioned that last time we were here. When they pay or transact businesses. There are some businesses that are not registered for the VAT. They have receipts showing VAT deducted X amount. These businesses are those who are registered, supposed to have their VAT certificate up, so that patrons like you and I will know that when I pay for VAT, I know that this person is registered to collect the VAT, and the VAT is remitted to the government. So failure to display your registration certificate, that carries a penalty. Falsifying documents also carries a penalty. Failure to issue a receipt also carries penalties. So we want Grenadians, help us in that regard. I think it's high time now we demand from our suppliers the need to give us receipts when we pay. And this goes for all sectors. We have seen cases, and there are some that are currently under investigation, where persons are buying, receipts are not given. And then when we go, we see a receipt from a book, receipt book, and then we see receipts in the computer. Yeah. So the point I'm making, there are some businesses that have different forms of receipts. And when we see those things happening, our inclination
it triggers.
Of course, yes. Of course. So let us try our best to improve on the way we do business by giving your customers a receipt. You have your invoices, keep your records. In fact, the law also gives us powers to charge a penalty for failure to keep records. Yeah. And I know there are some industries, especially those operating in the informal sector, they don't keep records. So you want to tell business people no, because you never know when you have to provide some form of those documents. You may want a loan from the bank or the credit union and they will ask you for records. We have the power, as Ms. John said, we have the power to go and do what we call a best of judgment. So if we come to you and you don't have records, for whatever reason, we can raise an assessment on you and say, we believe, based on the data that we have, based on our analysis, that you're supposed to, the tax liability is X. And we give you a couple of days, 30 days to prove what's right or wrong. If you don't have the data, GT, how will you prove what's wrong?
Oh, I can't prove it because I have nothing to counteract what you said. Right. So wait, before you continue, so that goes along, especially for in the business that you're asking to read, the barber shops and all of these things. They now have to keep records of how many hair they had cut for the day and so forth. You understand?
Yes.
Nail technicians, I did 10 nails for the day. Masseuse, I did 3 or 4 persons for the day or for the week or whatever. So that's where those obligations now comes in for you to have your records probably kept.
Right. And if I should come in here, they already do that.
Yeah.
Because many of them are on get loans, which they would have to prove their financial standings.
Yes.
So they already do that. What is important here is that coming into us now to register, so that when all of these information now would be relevant so that you would know exactly what amount of tax you're paying based on these sales that you have.
All right. Interesting to know.
Yeah.
I realize the phone's a bit slow this morning. Maybe folks don't want to ask you.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
But slow this morning for that purpose.
See, the cash industry. Yeah. I know there are a lot of persons. Okay, we got to complain that there are some persons who prefer to pay for the goods or services using the ATM cards, debit cards, etc. But a lot of businesses who are involved in good trade, they don't have the facility, right? And there are reasons for that, right? There are reasons why some businesses fail to provide that platform for persons to swipe their cards. But you are cutting yourself short, business people. There are a lot of customers right now who prefer, for different reasons, to use less cash.
Understandably so. We have our first caller. Let's see if this caller his contribution. Caller, you're live. Caller via WhatsApp. Good morning. You're live.
Hey, GT. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, GT. We also want to hear you speak a little more, man, because she's just like going with everything. Anyway, GT, my question, okay, you know, like the home of foreign artists typically is Brigadier. And like when foreign artists come, you know, and they come and they pay them thousands of dollars, you know, than more artists. Okay, my question is that what is the tax basically on like a foreign artist to come and perform and then they make thousands of dollars annually? So I want to know if the artists will have to pay the tax on the money they receive, or the promoters are the one that will be paying the tax.
Okay, thank you, caller. Thank you so much. I guess you get where the caller is coming from. He's talking in terms of promoters who bring in foreign artists and so forth in terms of the tax. Is that left up to the artist or the promoter? I think that's the
promoter. I mean, that is a challenge affecting the industry, because from time to time we have our colleagues in the region who will come in and perform entertainment services. So on behalf of the promoters, but the promoters have a responsibility to withhold. The promoters have a responsibility to withhold 15% of the amount that they are paying the artists.
Okay.
I think there's a challenge there because that is not happening.
Okay.
So we are now looking within the law to see what we can do. I know the law gives us powers to prevent persons from leaving the state.
Without pay. Right?
Without pay. If we believe that the person is has the potential to compromise our revenue, we can make a call to the immigration department, tell them that we have an interest in this particular person. And we want to meet the person. It happened already. I was part of an engagement where we actually had to speak to someone that was leaving the state at the airport and let them know that these were their responsibilities. So, caller, the promoter has a responsibility to withhold 15% of the payment to the promoter. They must withhold 15% and remit that to the government.
All right. Let's get some, of course, anything that we may have slipped on, because, of course, it seems that the calls have been slow in coming this morning. Folks probably understand the obligations, and probably there's not much questions in relation to that this morning. Anything that we have missed that you want to touch on?
No, I think we cover all bases. Maybe just to say that property tax, we must plug in for property tax. The demand notices are out. There are some persons who receive their notices online. We want to say to you, please pay your property tax. You have up until the end of June to receive a whopping 5% discount. 5% discount on property tax in these times. Don't take that for granted, Grenadians. So check your post office, check your mails, come in to us, go online, pay.gov.gd. You can see what your amount is, and you can pay online. All right, we do have another caller. Caller, your life. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay, and good morning to your guests.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And I heard the guest said something earlier, and I think that it's kind of they said that people in the wellness field need to more or less keep records and give receipts, and especially in the hairdressing and the barber in the field. And bro, I know you go to barber shops, and I know the lady go to hairdressing salons, and sometimes you have to understand, based on the barber or the hairdresser, time is of the essence. Barbers spend hours on their foot every day. Sometimes they don't want to do it because it's just a tiring work. Hairdresser do the same thing. Most of them go around with swollen feet and just name it. To go around and write receipts and keep records and do all this work is added cost. You might hire somebody to do that. Who's going to pay that person? Then now, if they have to do it on their own, time again. So I thought you would have zoned this thing, like zone it based on St. George's, St. Andrews, St. Patrick's, and other parishes, and charge them a flat rate. That's what you want to do. But going around and give barbers and hairdressers all this added work based on the work they have, and they can't even do it because it's just a tiring work. It makes more sense to zone this thing. Because remember, you cannot charge everybody the same, because St. Patrick's and St. Andrews and St. George's, they have different prices and they charge different. They are different places are slower than some. It's a lot of technical things you have to look at based on how you do this thing. You know that everybody comes from one base. You have to understand. St. Patrick's and St. George's are different, and they charge different and they operate different. So there's a lot of things you have to look at. So I think it's better to zone it and then charge a flat rate. Instead, you go to barber shops and you see for yourself. Let me go to the barbers ain't got time to even eat lunch for the day. So there's a lot of things that you have to take into consideration. Have a nice day, bro.
Thank you, caller. Caller did make an important point.
Very constructive comment. Very, very constructive. Caller, thank you for that. We understand the industry. We've heard taxpayers suggesting that to us, that why not get a small business regime, a flat regime for this kind, but we need the data. So as we build our database, as we get businesses involved, registered, we now can start making some policy suggestions, some policy recommendations. But we need, first of all, for the businesses to be registered so we can make informed decisions as to how we treat them going forward. But caller, very constructive, very, very constructive contribution.
We do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Good constructive contribution, because everybody differently, some heavy, some light. And I just want to congratulate you all, tax, the way how all you operate. All you might know how much all you will help people be more responsibility. Because when, as you mentioned, Mr., you say sometimes they tell all you 500, but all you go on the scene and all you realize there is more. So you see, we have people operating dishonest, and by doing that, all you helping them be honest in their business. So I appreciate that, and I like that movement. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Appreciate your contribution also.
Thank you.
Of course, that's what we're going to have to get some closing contributions from you all this morning, so we can take a wrap for today.
Okay, well, I would say education is the most important thing here, that persons understand their responsibility, understand their obligation. Basically, the tax is not here to hurt you, but in the short and in the long term to help you and to help the nation as a whole. The more information you can get about the tax, the greater understanding of it, and the fear about the tax will go away once you understand taxation as a whole.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. We just want to say in closing that we are in partnership with our taxpayer base. We are in partnership with all our stakeholders. We are passionate about what we do, because as I said before, we work on behalf of Grenadians, collecting taxes on behalf of Grenadians so that we can help build and contribute to the economy. We really want to encourage all those who have a responsibility to pay, to file, to register. Let's just do the right thing. I want you, Grenadians, to have confidence in the officers of Inland Revenue. We are not perfect. The caller just gave us some good suggestions there we will take on board. There are things we will learn as we go along. We are not directly involved in the buying and selling of certain businesses, but we will learn from our taxpayers. So if you have any suggestions, feel free, share them with us so that we can make some policy recommendations going forward. We really want to, GT in closing, we really want to improve, as I always say, the tax consciousness and the tax culture of Grenadians. And we can only do that if we build a nation of compliance individuals.
All right. Of course, I want to thank you both once again for coming and sharing information this morning. Always fruitful information. It's kind of information that, of course, Grenadians as a whole, including our sisters, Carrick and Pidimadic, need to know about.
Indeed.
Yeah, of course, need to know about. Because, paying your taxes creates a better society for us in general. Thanks once again. And I know we will have another engagement. We will have another engagement. So until then, have a great day for us, the rest of it, and a good weekend to come.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Hey, folks, that's where we're going to take a wrap for this edition of To The Point. Have a great day, what's left of it today, and a great weekend to come. Join me again on Monday of next week. That's what we say goodbye, folks.